Welcome back, YouTube. Today I'm going to walk you through what to do when your fat loss or weight loss stalls. So we've all been there, potentially seeing progress with our fat loss, weight loss goal, then all of a sudden our progress stalls. I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do to get back on track, to get that progress going again, so you can get to your end goal. If you do find this video helpful, please do drop a like. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so because you'll be an absolute unit. Let's go. Okay, so the very first step is vital, right? And it's vital because most people make this mistake. Do not panic. Most people see their weight or fat loss stall and they just lose their shit, right? They panic, they get frustrated, they get annoyed, they get worried, they get angry. And I'll tell you right now, all that normally leads to is making poor decisions. And if you make poor decisions in a scenario like this, that just might make getting that progress back even harder and harder and harder, which is going to lead to more frustration, more anger, and then further and further and further poor decisions. So instead, we need to remain calm, we need to breathe, we need to understand that fat loss is a long-term process. We have to have patience. Okay, if fat loss stalls for 1 or maybe even 2 weeks, it's not the end of the world. Okay, but what we need to do, which I'm going to walk you through now, is make good decisions. Step 2, give it time. Okay, so like I just said before, fat loss is a long process, right? If your weight or fat loss has stalled and it's only been 1 week, again, going back to number 1, don't panic, and then come to number 2, give it time. Give it 2 weeks, maybe even 3, okay, depending on how long you've got to reach your goal, right? Because sometimes, especially if you're just taking weight as a measurement, that weight can fluctuate, which means it can go back up, it can hold, it can do things which can be unexpected from week to week. And you might actually still be making progress towards your goal even though your weight particularly doesn't show it. And if you give it an extra week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, of still hitting the same targets and still doing the same things, when it comes to that 2nd or 3rd week, you might find that actually it's started to drop again and now you're seeing that progress again. So don't panic and don't rush into making decisions. And then number 3, it's only a 3-step process because it's really simple. But number 3 is where the magic happens. We need to simply increase the size of the deficit that we're in. Okay, now, let's just first and foremost understand that if your weight loss, fat loss has stalled, that means in some way, and it can happen in multiple ways, in some way the deficit that you were in has reduced or has completely gone and now you're sitting at maintenance. Okay, so remember, when we're looking at a deficit, things we've got to take into account is input and expenditure. So the food that we're taking in and the calories that we're burning. So if this deficit has decreased or come to a stop, chances are your intake has either crept up a little bit, maybe without you noticing, or your expenditure has decreased a little bit, again, maybe without you noticing. Or if you've been in a deficit for a long time, trying to drop body fat for a long time, these things can actually happen quite easily, especially if you've dropped a lot of weight. Your expenditure can actually drop alongside it because you're just shifting less weight from day to day, right? But the fact remains the same. The size of this deficit has reduced. So you need to increase the size of this deficit again to get back to that rate of loss or that fat loss, that weight loss that you're after. So there's 2 ways we can do this. Again, we're looking at input, we're looking at expenditure. You can either reduce input again, so reduce food intake, or increase expenditure again. Okay, so increase the amount of calories that you're burning. You can do either of these things or a combination of them to once again increase the size of this deficit and get that ball rolling. You obviously have to make the decision of which is going to be best for you. Okay, if you're struggling to manage hunger, and your food intake already isn't a lot, then you might want to take expenditure up. If you're already doing a lot of training and you don't really have the time to do a lot more, you might want to drop food intake, or you might want to do a bit of both. But this is the magical 3-step process when your fat or weight loss stalls. Don't panic. Make sure you're giving it enough time to get a true reflection of what's happening. And if you need to, increase the size of your deficit to get the ball rolling again. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please drop a like. If you want to keep up to date with more of these videos so you can make sure you reach your goal, do hit that subscribe button. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.